ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
A very pleasant evening to you. Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studio. I am Abosedi Omowi. In our top stories tonight. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Now the news in full. More revelations are emerging on how the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, laundered public funds running into millions of dollars for the purpose of buying properties without declaring same in his asset declaration forms. A prosecution witness from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Michael Wetkas, is telling the Code of Conduct Tribunal that Saraki operated 3 different accounts with Guaranty Trust Bank to commit the offense. Saraki is being prosecuted by the federal government for an alleged false declaration of his assets between 2003 and 2011 as governor of Kwara State. Led in evidence by the prosecution counsel, Rotimi Jacobs, the witness said that in October 6, 2009, there was a lodgement of cash into Saraki's account for 87 times by several individuals in a single day. Similarly, the witness also revealed that on May the 19th, 2009, there was another cash lodgement of $10,000 for 18 different times into Saraki's GTB dollar account. The prosecution witness equally testified that the Senate President transferred $4,030,000 through American Express Services New York account for the purpose of buying properties in London. In the meantime, the chairman of the tribunal, Danladi Umar, has admitted as exhibits statement of bank accounts, petition against the Senate President, and other documents tendered by the prosecution which link the accused to the alleged offense. The defense counsel, Kanu Agabi, is however reserving his objection on the admissibility of the document as exhibits to a later date. In other reports, the federal government has revealed plans to inaugurate a presidential advisory council on cyber security to be headed by the National Security Advisor. The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, made this known at an event organized by the Cyber Security Expert Association of Nigeria on Wednesday in Abuja. Osinbajo notes that the Cyber Security Advisory Council, which would include major stakeholders in the information communication technology sector, as well as the Nigeria Technology Development Agency, is expected to counsel the President on measures to protect national critical infrastructure and address cyber threats. Osinbajo, who is represented by his senior special assistant on rule of law, Akingbola Adeniran, emphasizes the sector is capable of creating jobs for the unemployed youth, especially with the right partnership. In his remarks, CSEN President Remi Afon advises government to create more awareness on impact of cybercrime, adding that research and investment in cybersecurity are essential to responding to cyber threats. The Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, has revealed that henceforth our policemen will undergo snap urine tests to ascertain signs of drug abuse before they could be issued firearms. Arase made this known at the launch of drug testing kits and campaign against sudden death of police officers in Abuja on Wednesday. He says that apart from denying officers who fail the test access to firearms, the force would wean them from drugs or other psychological problems. Arase expresses worry over the issue of frequent sudden deaths of officers and men due to chronic non-communicable diseases like diabetes mellitus and hypertension, saying the force has thus directed its medical team to screen all officers for the diseases. Arase adds that the police has also initiated a policing strategy that would witness the transition of the police from relying on firearms to manage social disorders. National security challenges, Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, is reiterating his commitment to repositioning the Nigerian Air Force to a highly professional and disciplined level through capacity building and initiative for effective and efficient employment of air power in response to Nigeria's national security challenges. Reeling out his plans at the meeting with air warrant officers and regimental sergeant majors in Abuja, he says the meeting is to motivate personnel, especially the air warrant officers and regimental sergeants, to help the Nigerian Air Force achieve their set objectives. Kikelomo Okere completes the story.
Military commanders the world over have described regimentation as bedrock of military professionalism. Their roles in training and promotion of discipline ensures that core values for unity are maintained. According to the Chief of Air Staff, the meeting is focused on repositioning the Air Force as well as operate in more professional manner, considering their vital role.
It's a very important area of interest that we have, and the RSMs play a very important role. And that is why we meet with them on quarterly basis. We are able to communicate, clear doubts, and also give them guidelines on what is expected. So that is what this meeting is all about.
Chief of Policy and Plan says the meeting is focused on comradeship, regimentation, and inter-service cooperation.
Focus on comradeship, regimentation, and inter-service cooperation, and to promote and inculcate the core values of integrity, excellence, and service discipline.
In the face of battle against insurgency in the country, the Air Force has been showing resilience and courage supports the ground troop. Successes recorded so far cannot be overemphasized. This meeting is coming at a time when the country's armed forces are being put to test of protecting the nation's internal security. Kikelomo Okere, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Still on security matters, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, has reaffirmed the commitment of the Nigerian Army to defend the territorial integrity of Nigeria as a nation. Speaking in Abuja at the first quarter Chief of Army Staff Conference, General Buratai said the military is working tirelessly to overcome the challenges of insecurity as efforts remain in top gear to eliminate insurgents in the northeast. He challenged officers and men of the Nigerian Army to be loyal to the Federal Republic of Nigeria by upholding the Constitution in its entirety. This is coming barely 48 hours after the Nigerian Army announced the rescue of 275 persons held hostage by the Boko Haram terrorists during a mop-up operation in Borno State. In the meantime, troops fighting insurgency in the northeast region have rescued 11,595 persons held hostage by Boko Haram insurgents between February 26th and end of March. This is contained in a statement issued in Abuja by the Army spokesman, Colonel Sani Usman, who says the hostages were rescued during clearance operations conducted by troops in different locations in the northeast. According to Usman, most of the hostages were rescued in various areas and towns where remnants of the Boko Haram insurgents were hiding, while others were received from Cameroonian authorities. The Army spokesman adds that more persons are expected to be released from captivity as the troops continue with clearance and mop-up operations in the region. And now an assurance to provide a level playing field to all players and the Federal Capital Territory local government elections has come from the highest level of the nation's elections management body. The Independent National Electoral Commission says it will also be addressing any issue that arises as a result of the conduct of all players through a situation room for the purpose of the elections. Chairman of the Commission, Yakub Mahmoud, says all stakeholders must also be above board. Correspondent Kosim Kasali has more insight.
The elections into the 6 local councils of the FCT are just a few hours away, and as part of efforts by the Independent National Electoral Commission to ensure a smooth polls devoid of violence, these stakeholders are having an interactive session with the top management staff of the Commission. After the initial welcome addresses by the chairman of the Commission, the responses on how the elections will be free, fair and devoid of violence came from these stakeholders.
If we are going to have a free and fair election, the security operatives who are detained in various polling booths should please play their role as observers. We urge you, alongside your sister agency, to carry security matter as the most priority issue in this forthcoming election.
These unidentified stakeholder, however, causes a stir when he talked about the specter of violence in the elections.
Yes, everybody here knows that in the previous elections we have been having our elections
With all the comments taken, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission and the Inspector General of Police said the elections will be devoid of any underhand tactics or maneuver on their part. They assure all stakeholders that the local government polls will be strictly monitored, but also added that troublemakers will be severely dealt with.
You can't vote until and unless you are in possession of a valid PVC. The first thing the smart card reader does is to confirm that the PVC was actually issued by INEC and not cloned. Cloned PVCs are incompatible with the smart card reader. They simply wouldn't work.
All I want to say is that we're on top of our job, and whoever tries to threaten the peace of the FCT will have himself to blame. And even those who created problem in Abaji or so, they are like fugitives now. Either they're on the run or they're out of FCT.
The polls come up on Saturday, 9th of April. Kosim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Still ahead on CoreTV Primetime News, Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria calls for the appointment of a new head for the Human Rights Commission and all the relevant agencies. Details of this and all the report after this break. Do stay with us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digi360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. Let's take a look at our top stories again. Our top stories, all the news and information can be found on our social media platforms. Facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can follow on our Twitter handle for more at CoreTV News NG. You may subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space news. Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, Huriwa, is calling on President Muhammadu Buhari to be more proactive in his appointment of a new head for the National Human Rights Commission and also relevant agencies in the country. Speaking to newsmen at the association's headquarters in Abuja, Emmanuel Onwubiko says the commission and some others like it have become moribund due to their inability to settle human rights complaints in the country. Jamila Fagwa has been at the association's office and now reports.
It's no longer news that there are several cases of human rights abuses unattended to in the country, despite complaints coming from members of the public to this effect. The Human Rights Writers Association is blaming the inadequacy on the lack of a proper administrative pattern, especially in the appointment of people relevant to these agencies.
We want to suggest an appeal passionately to Mr. President to look inwards. He should stop appointing outsiders. Outsiders have destroyed that place. You don't go to one corner of the country because the place is a university, one small glorified secondary school somewhere, and bring somebody because you think he's a teacher of law.
It is not stopping there. There has also been a lashing out at the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission for not caring about the plight of Nigerians who are constantly being shortchanged in the supply of electricity in the country. Praising the Consumer Protection Council for doing a good job, the association, however, says that NEC should take the blame for the electricity consumers not being given any good thing. Quizzed on whether the minister in charge of power should share the blame, the association says Babatunde Fashola is a political appointee.
The minister of power is just policy. It's policy, it's just policy directive. It's to give policy directive. The person that bears the total guilt of this epileptic power problem we have is NEC.
Riwa has been in the forefront of campaigns against human rights abuses in the country, but it may just be a small voice in a country where impunity seems to be the order of the day. Jamila Fegwa, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, Plateau State lawmakers are calling on the state executive to begin to put in public places facilities that would accommodate physically challenged persons. They condemn the situation where the vision and hearing impaired individuals are not given cognizance in the state during state functions. Plateau State correspondent has more.
According to the mover of the motion, the physically challenged in the society can no longer be left out in the scheme of things in the 21st century. He says the 8th Assembly would have failed if they are not assisted to mingle comfortably with the general public.
In a participatory lawmaking, this cannot be achieved if those that are deaf and dumb cannot hear or understand the discussions, deliberations, and resultant resolutions of this House.
Other lawmakers who have same opinion profile ways through which the challenged individuals can be helped to integrate to the society fully.
This can be a clapping sign from them, and it's going to be very important for them to understand what we are saying in this hallowed chamber.
These disabled, Mr. Speaker, are in several parts of the system. They walk like every other person and add value to the system.
Within the democratic principles of carrying everybody along, I think they have to be carried along.
Summing up the day's proceedings, the Speaker of the House, Peter Azi, says education remains the major way out of the predicament if the physically challenged persons are to be given the needed support they deserve.
At the Ministry of Education to nominate a person biased in special education in specific term, sign language, to cover the proceeding of the House for the benefit of those who are deaf and dumb.
Moving of the motion at the Plateau State House of Assembly after several pleas has become necessary as most public buildings and event places in Plateau State do not take into cognizance the plight of physically challenged individuals.
Call for the support of physically challenged individuals there. In other news now, despite assurances from the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachiku, on the lingering fuel scarcity, Nigerians are not finding it easy on the untold hardship this challenge has posed on them. On our steamy and participatory flagship program called Digest, analysts lament the failure of the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari in finding a lasting solution to the economic challenges bedeviling the nation. Our correspondent has more in this report.
Long queues at filling stations. One may wonder when will this end, as residents groan over the unavailability of products, which if available is sold beyond regulated pump price. Analysts on our flagship program called Digest harps on the slow and steady approach of the government in resolving the issue of fuel scarcity, which has crippled most business activities.
People sold petrol to me per litre in front of the filling station at 260, and people were telling me that they sold it to me because they know I go to television to tell the truth to government. I gain the favor of a bit of a recognized rate.
Yes.
Because they are selling it 400 per litre. 400 per litre. Your Excellency, things are messed up out there.
The cry of innocent citizens of Nigeria beckons for help. Is there a way out of this quagmire, as the Nigerian Labour Congress seems not to be helping matters?
NLC that is now factionalized as a result of the vaulting ambition of some of its members. Where people, an organization where people aspire to leadership, not because they want to serve the masses, but because they want to serve themselves.
Callers are not left out.
Some of us, we are wondering where we are going. And secondly, we are asking questions. Who do we trust? Because most of the time, when God will send good leaders to us, we will reject those good leaders.
For me, I believe it was under Jonathan that we had all this money we're recovering now. Personally, I voted for Buhari, but I didn't expect it to be worse to this very point. Because as it is now, we don't know where we're going to. I don't know if there's anybody that could maybe tell him what to do. Because it's like the people he appointed are not working.
Nigerians are calling on the appropriate stakeholders in finding a lasting solution to this challenge.
Meantime, financial experts have identified excess liquidity of the naira as reason for the unending fuel scarcity in Nigeria. The long queues which have come to characterize petrol filling stations have the negative impact of reducing the productivity of the labor force. Moreover, experts predict impending fall in the economy if the fuel scarcity issue is not quickly addressed. Sarah Ayeko has more.
The hazard and hardship faced by these Nigerians every day, especially during these fuel scarcity times. According to reports provided by the National Bureau of Statistics, the decline in labor productivity in the fourth quarter of 2015 can be attributed to several factors, such as prevalent petrol scarcity, low investment, low government spending, and a decline in power generation during the period. Why unending fuel scarcity?
Until we recognize that the exchange rate, rather than the crude price itself, is the actual villain in the mix, we will not be able to solve the problem of fuel scarcity.
Petroleum products, especially petrol, is key to our economy, as it is what powers commuters, including workers, officers and businesses. The delays motorists contend with on long queues at petrol stations have led to a loss of unimaginable man-hours, which have impacted negatively on our economy.
People will just go to work, they will achieve nothing, and they will just come back. So the economy as a whole is going to bear the brunt. The economy as a whole will bear the brunt, both at the government level and at the individual level.
Coupled with the high unemployment rate, the Nigerian economy is confronted with considerable threats to realizing its full growth potential. due to productivity challenges.
When the person who creates Naira in the system continuously tells you, I'm battling with excess liquidity, you know that anything that Naira has to buy, the Naira will be cheap because there's plenty of Naira everywhere. So the way to do it is to reduce the quantum of Naira supply.
Federal government needs to do something very decisive. If the government does not do something decisive, this might be something that might lead to a colossal loss as a government.
Nigerians expect this peril of fuel scarcity to end before it breaks every economic fiber. Sarah Ayeku, CoreTV News, Lagos. Now, the Department of Petroleum Resources Kaduna Zone has deployed a special task force team for 24 hours monitoring of sale of petrol at filling stations across the state. DPR Kaduna Zonal Operations Controller Sayadi Suleiman, who led some officials of the agency to monitor the situation, says the monitoring team has been deployed across the state to ensure that the fuel products that arrive are not diverted by some marketers. He says the aim is to ensure that petroleum marketers do not hoard the product and thereafter sell to motorists at exorbitant prices only at night. The controller notes that the task force team will monitor the sale of fuel in filling stations across the state, adding that they have been mandated to take over any filling station selling above the official pump price. Now, the federal government has concluded arrangements to deploy 3,000 personnel of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps across the mining sites in the country to curb illegal mining operations. The Kwara State Commandant of the NSCDC, Augustine Obikwe, while inaugurating the 100 personnel unit of the state, assures that efforts will be made to safeguard the mining sites in the state. He says the memorandum of understanding signed between the two ministries, Solid Minerals and Interior, informed the establishment of the unit, while charging the men to be dedicated in guiding the solid mineral sites in the state. Obiekwe also notes that the fight against unauthorized and unlicensed mining activities should be the responsibility of all. Now, the Ekiti State government has announced the resignation of the State Commissioner for Works and Transportation, Kayode Osho. In a statement made available to journalists, the Secretary to the State Government, Modupe Alade, discloses that Osho, known to be one of the closest political associates of Governor Ayodele Fayose, resigned on health grounds. She says the letter has been fully accepted by Governor Ayodele Fayose, adding that the government wishes him quick recovery and will stand by him while he overcomes his health challenges. Osho, during the first term of Governor Fayose, served as Chief of Staff to the Governor and was later appointed Commissioner for Works and then reappointed after the Governor was sworn in for a second term. Now, a national summit on culture and tourism is on the cards as the federal government steps up efforts to address the nation's current abysmal economic climate. The summit will also proffer panacea to the development of the culture and tourism sector, which will aid the government economic diversification effort. Correspondent Kozim Kasali has more in this report.
The federal government says it will hold a 3-day national summit on culture and tourism later in the month in furtherance of the administration economic diversification agenda. The Minister of Information and Culture, while speaking at a working meeting between the ministry and the British Council in Abuja, says the ministry will in due course announce details of its planned collaboration with the council.
The activities, which are considered very rich, include the assessment of creative industries, skills in Nigeria, understanding the festival scene in Nigeria, the Creative Economy Conference and Expo, stakeholders meeting, mapping of creative industries in Kano, and the capacity building workshop for festival managers in Nigeria.
Earlier in her address to the working session, head of the British Council in Nigeria says the working session is to further understand the priorities of the ministry ahead of the planned collaboration between it and our council.
Around the interests of the ministry and things that you're trying to achieve over the coming months, And we've also talked a little bit about the work of the British Council. You've also had great opportunity through coming to some of our events, I hope.
He says the priorities will determine the content and bent of the agreement and collaboration between the two. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And now the South Korean ambassador to Nigeria, Kyo Duk, says is seeking possibilities where companies in South Korea can partner across River State in boosting the socio-economic activities of the area while deepening partnership on culture and tourism. Speaking at the governor's office in Calabar, the ambassador says the partnership will boost a more rapid economic zone, pointing out that South Korea is one of the countries that have achieved economic development relatively within a short period. He expresses his country's desire to strengthen ties with Cross River State in order to tap from its enormous natural resources and lots of solid mineral deposits which can be tapped and refined. The ambassador further discloses that the country will look for companies who can invest in areas like iron and steel, road, housing, water and transportation into the state. Still ahead on CoreTV Primetime News, South African government blames xenophobic attacks on the media. Details of this and all the reports from outside Nigeria in just a moment. Stay with us.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back on CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studio. Now to report from beyond the shores. South African government says series of sensational newspapers headlines and the dissemination of false information on social media contributed to the deadly outbreak of the xenophobia-related violence last year. A government-commissioned report says the failure of media houses to contextualize the violent occurrences sent shock waves across the country and around the world. 7 people were killed and about 5,000 others displaced in a wave of violence against foreign nationals between March and May of 2015. The statement further notes that the spreading of misinformation on social media platforms contributed to widespread panic at the height of the attacks in April of 2015. And now 18 civilians, including a pregnant woman and 3 children, have been killed as Syrian fighters shelled a Kurdish neighborhood in the northern city of Aleppo. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says 70 people, including 30 children, were also wounded in the attack, adding that the shelling is a violation of a ceasefire agreement. The shelling targeted Sheikh Mascoud area, where up to 50,000 residents are caught in the crossfire of government-held districts and those controlled by opposition fighters. In a separate incident, fighters belonging to the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant ISIL launched attacks on government-held areas near Damascus in an apparent response to the group's loss of ground elsewhere in Syria. And now nearly 20 million people in Bangladesh are still drinking water contaminated with arsenic, even though the toxin was discovered in it nearly 2 decades ago. The Human Rights Watch launched a report which reveals that the government failed to take the basic steps needed to tackle the problem, which kills an estimated 43,000 Bangladeshis every year. HRW researcher Richard Pershouse says the huge tragedy has remained so pervasive as a result of poor governance. Meanwhile, government says it has installed around 210,000 deep tube wells over the past 12 years to mitigate the crisis and is testing the water from millions of shallow wells for contamination. Arsenic is a naturally occurring and toxic element found in the soil and groundwater in parts of the world, including vast delta regions such as eastern India and Bangladesh, where rivers empty into the Bay of Bengal. And now one of the founders of Mossack Fonseca, the law firm at the center of the Panama Papers revelations on offshore holdings, says his company was hacked. Ramon Fonseca says the leak was not caused by an insider, but that the company was hacked by servers abroad. The leaked document from Mossack Fonseca showed how the world's rich and powerful are able to stash their wealth and avoid taxes. The law firm based in Panama has more than 40 offices worldwide. Fonseca says the firm has lodged a criminal complaint with Panamanian prosecutors over the alleged server breach. Let's now bring you some sports reports.
Power style, and that's what he delivered.
In sports, it is unsure if Nigeria will be getting a foreign coach for its senior national team, as a meeting held to decide that was inconclusive. The Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Solomon Delong, has issued the Nigeria Football Federation 1 month to report on the justification for a foreign coach for the country's national team. Delong requests the executive committee members to convince him of the competence of the foreign coach they had in mind, as well as means of funding the contract. He notes that the government is ready to do all it could to avoid a repeat of the Sunday Olise experience. And now the mayor of Leicester, Peter Salisbury, plans to rename the city street after the Premier League leaders' teammate should they win the title this season. In what appears to be a shocker, Leicester City took the football world by surprise, opening up a 7-point lead at the top of the table with just 6 matches remaining. The honor is one capable of motivating Claudio Ranieri's men, the Foxes, to remain on top of the Premier League table. In moves to honor sporting stars in the past, Leicester City has an area named after golfers and another called Lineker Road. And now President of the Football Association's governing body, Prince William, says the governance structure is in need of reform. Prince William was speaking at a lunch at Wembley to mark his 10th anniversary as president, where he stresses that the FA is in danger of being left behind. The Duke of Cambridge was appointed FA president in May 2006, taking over from his uncle, the Duke of York. He emphasizes the need for the organization to lead the way modern standards of best practices. And now former Wimbledon champion Bob Hewitt has been expelled from the International Tennis Hall of Fame following allegations of sexual promiscuity. The 76-year-old was in 2015 convicted of 2 counts of rape and 1 of sexual assault on underage girls. The Australia-born tennis star was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1992 and was suspended in 2012. Hewitt was a doubles and a mixed doubles champion at all 4 Grand Slam events, winning 7 Wimbledon titles. He is the first member to be expelled from the International Tennis Hall of Fame. Well, that's it on sports and on CoreTV Primetime News. But before we go, let's take another look at the top stars. It's been so much pleasure having you a part of CoreTV Primetime News today. I am Abosedi Omowi. Do have a pleasant night rest.